like in different sports, managers or like coaches have records and stuff. Like like Messi got 8 Ballon d'Ors or whatever.
Yeah.
But do you have like in judo a similar thing where you got like your record, like you got a certain number of
For your competitive record, not coaching, but like
Okay.
your competitive record, that's all online. Like you can see everyone's competitive records. Like I've got my page on the IJF website on so if anyone wants to watch me, you can watch me on judotv.com this Saturday.
What country are you going to be fighting
in Poland.
Poland. See?
Yeah, I'm in Poland this Saturday for Junior European Cup.
Yeah.
So check it out on judotv.com. By the time this video goes out, it'll be well gone. But
But I'll put some links in the description as well. It's IGF.com.
Yeah,
so I'll put some links in the description. Check it out, man. Bună dimineața. That's how you say good morning.
That's sick.
Romanian.
That's sick.
I think.
Fair.
And then
that's not Polish, by the way.
I like yeah. Check out his competition in Poland, and like what else in terms of long term. Obviously, you're gonna keep competing. There's European competitions, world competitions, and things. But is there something that's even more long term, that's even higher than that you're striving towards?
Yeah, the goal is the Olympics. The current goal is to qualify and win LA 2028 at the Olympics, and possibly Brisbane 2032 as well. Like the Olympics is the goal for any judo player who's serious about their career. That's what they want, and that's what I'm striving for. It's what I've been training for since I was like 10 years old. I've said this since I was like 10 that I want to win Olympic Games. And that would be so cool. That's the dream.
That would be so.
When I qualify, I'll get you a ticket.
I'm coming. Bro. When I'm coming, because that would be so
LA as well. LA, that's such a nice place to have the Olympics. Like,
how is the development process like? Because I know a little bit of like you might have to work with certain national institutes and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, talk us a little bit through that development process.
It's gonna get political. It's quite simple for judo. I think you train with your clubs and you like compete with your clubs until you get to a certain level, and then the national team will start selecting you for stuff when you win certain medals. So you have to win the world ranking event medals and stuff like that. So it's quite easy. You compete at regional competitions and you compete at like national competitions, and then once you start getting medals at like the British Championships, that's when you can start competing at the world competitions, and you can go to the European Cups and other continental cups as well. Like you can go to other continents as well, and you do them, and then you can do European Opens if you're a senior, and then you do Grand Prix, Grand Slams, and there's like quite a steady process in judo. And once you get to like that world level where you're competing at European Championships, World Championships, Olympic Games, you'll be selected by the national team, and so the British Judo Association in this case. And they select you. They have training camps for like the squad. Like you try and get on the British squad, go to their training camps. They can help coach you. There's a national training centre. I don't train there. I choose not to train there. I want to stay here, but lots of people do. When they get to my age, or probably a little bit older most of the time, or sometimes a bit younger, they like move to Birmingham. Lots of people have done it. Lots of my friends have done it. They leave their clubs and they go to the National Training Centre and train there full time with the British Judo coaches and stuff. But I've got my own program at home and I train full time at home, so I don't need to go to the centre.
Yeah, nice. I want to do a deep dive into judo. I'm talking. You know how they got what's it called? CBS with Thierry Henry. I want to do like a deep tactical dive into judo. You know, from the outside, I know like the goal is to get your opponent on their backs and things.
Yeah.
But I want to go even more technical. Someone who's just started coming into judo and they're asking you, what is judo?
Yeah.
Like, what would you tell them?
Okay, the judo as a thing it's not just about the sport. Judo is like a lifestyle. It's like a philosophy, and that's not. I'm not trying to be like voodoo zen about it. That's literally what it derived from. Judo comes from like the old school samurai techniques of jujitsu,
Mm-hmm.
where like the Japanese army would use these techniques in hand-to-hand combat in wars. Like if they lost their weapon, this is what they would like refer to.
Yeah.
And the man who created judo, Jigoro Kano, when the Japanese military like changed into a less systematic, because like during peacetime
Yeah.
they basically had no wars to fight, so all these soldiers were just standing around having no technique, no one to like do their stuff on.
Yeah.
So Jigoro Kano created judo so that they could practice war techniques and hand-to-hand combat without hurting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of judo is to practice and get better without hurting anyone. So it's about like mutual improvement. That's like the whole thing of judo. But as a sport in like the Olympics and stuff like that, judo is just a combat sport, like every other combat sport. It's very similar to wrestling. We wear these funny pajamas that people can grab onto to do their different techniques, and yeah, so that's ultimately what judo is in the way that modern people see it. It's a combat sport where you try and grapple. There's no striking in judo. It's a grappling sport, like wrestling, like jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the goal? Like what gets you to win in judo?
So winning in judo is done in a few ways. The first one is by throwing your partner with force and speed and control. You have to have those three things. If you have those three things, then the technique is considered an ippon. And ippon means maximum score. And if you get that, it's like a knockout in UFC or boxing. It's like you've won straight away. The fight will finish if you win, if you get an ippon. So if you throw someone quickly and they land flat on their back and you're holding on to them with two hands, and for example, that would be considered an ippon. You win the fight. There are other scores in judo. So you have an ippon, which is the maximum score. You have a wazari, which is the middle score to half score. And you have a yuko, which is the lowest score, minimum score. If you have two wazaris, that converts into an ippon. Okay, so you can win the fight by throwing someone twice with a throw that is missing one of the three elements. So if you throw someone, they land on their back, but it's really, really slow, or you don't have control. Or if you throw someone fast with control, but they land on their side, then you would get a wazari, for example. And then the other ways to win in judo is in what we call niwaza, which is groundwork. So all these words that I'm saying are Japanese. So judo is a Japanese sport, and all the words are translated from Japanese. So niwaza requires you to either pin your opponent on their back, so show control, like in WWE, where you get them pin them on their back for 20 seconds to get an ippon.
Damn.
A long time, yeah. And it's hard to pin a human on their back for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Or you can get a submission. So your partner decides to give up.
So like by choking them?
By choking them or by armbarring them. Yeah. And your partner will tap the mat, tap you, call out that they submit. And there are a few ways to submit, but yeah.
Yeah.
So you can win by throwing them or submitting them or pinning them. There are three ways you can win in judo.
Damn, okay. That's interesting, because I'm sure. So for example, like you said, if you have like two is it wazari? If you have two wazaris, you can get an ippon.
Yeah.
I'm sure that must be like. Have you ever got frustrated where the referees have been,
just not giving me the
giving you a certain move when you thought it was something.
Yeah, it happens all the time in judo. Like at the high level competitions, you have the referee system is really crazy at high level competitions. You have a referee on the mat who is refereeing the fight, and he gives the initial scores, and then you have a table of referees sitting right next to the mat, and they review the fight as it goes. So they're watching the fight on cameras, slow motion cameras and stuff, and they are watching it as it goes live, and they can rewind and review things, and then if all of those people fail to come to an agreement or can't work out what it should happen, there's also then a head referee who sits on like a table at the top, and normally it's that person or two people, and they like oversee all of the mat areas at a competition. So at a competition, normally there'll be multiple mat areas. You normally have 3 or 4 mat areas, and there'll be 3 or 4 contests going on at the same time. And the head referees will look over all the mats, and any disputes will go straight to them, and their word is final. And so a lot of the time you'll throw someone and they'll spin onto their front, and if you land on your front in judo, there's nothing. You don't get anything for that. You need to make sure they land on their back. So you could throw someone, they spin onto their front, and you thought they land on their side, and the referee says they land on their front, and a lot of the time in judo it can be the scoring can get quite confusing, especially for someone who doesn't do judo. Like if someone's just watching for the first time, it can be quite confusing. Which is why I always say, if you're just watching for the first time, don't worry about what the scoreboard says, or don't just appreciate athleticism, appreciate the combat that's going on in front of you, because judo players are some of the most athletic, strong, powerful people on the planet. The feats of athleticism they're doing on the mat is just incredible. To lift a human over your head that doesn't want to be lifted up, to forcefully put someone on their back at that speed, it's just impossible. It's impossible to think about if you're not a judo player. So
that is super true. And with that point about the refereeing as well, I feel like with refereeing in certain sports, because refereeing in a lot of sports like judo, for example, or football, there's an aspect of it that's subjective, it's just based on what the referee thinks, because some things are 50-50, it's just based on opinion.
Definitely.
But as irritating as that can be, I feel like at the same time that's what makes the sport interesting. Because you don't know what's gonna happen. You're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here?
Absolutely.
What's your experience? What's the difference between when you're competing and when you're spectating judo?
That's actually a really good question. It's massive. The level of thinking when you're on the mat competing yourself is so quick. Everything happens so fast around you. You can't take a split second to lose focus or you'll lose a fight. And when I love to watch judo. I watch every competition that happens. All of the high level competitions, I watch them on my phone. And when you're watching it from afar, you're like, why didn't they do that? Or, oh, he could have won it there. Or and then you realise when you go on the mat, it's just impossible to think that quickly. You can see an opening, or you can see a situation unfolding when you're watching from the side, but actually being in, having someone grabbing your lapel and rubbing their head against you and attacking you. You can't see all the openings, you can't see everything that's going on because you're not looking at it from the outside. It's so different. And as well, the what happens refereeing, we were talking about, if I throw someone when I'm competing, I could think, damn, I've just thrown them, that should be an ippon. And then I go and watch it later on the replay, and I'm like, oh, actually, that was nothing. It was, and everything feels way faster when you're on the mat. Everything feels way more intense when it's you on the mat than when you're watching, and it's crazy. I honestly, before, I always say, people who criticize judo players on the internet, if you haven't done it, don't. If you haven't competed at a certain any level, to be honest, if you haven't done a judo competition before, you don't get it. It's impossible. It's such a hard thing to go and do, fight another human being.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like is there ever an element of fight or flight when you're going into the judo mat, or have you learned to control that?
For lots of athletes it's huge. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at controlling my nerves, controlling my fight or flight instincts. I'm very focused and calm when I'm on the mat. But that's not the same for everyone, and it doesn't make people worse fighter just because they succumb to nerves sometimes. It's so normal. It's absolutely nerve-wracking going into, for example, I fought my first Grand Prix a few weeks ago, which is one of the highest level judo competitions you can do. And I walk in, and it's a stadium with it's an arena with 1,000 people watching you, and your mat is lit up by floodlights, and you've got the commentator announcing your name to on the loudspeaker, and like you walk out onto that mat, and it's a huge mat area. It's like 9 by 9 meters or 10 by 10 meters. Like so, it's 100-meter squared mat area.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just you and this one other guy on the mat, and you're just staring at each other, waiting for your fight. It's crazy. Like the nerves are insane, and like you have to train yourself to control that, because if you haven't, you just succumb to it. You'll just fall apart. But like honestly, that was one of the most surreal experiences I've ever felt. I fought someone really good in my first fight at that competition, and like walking out onto the mat and bowing to him at the start of the fight was like the biggest rush of adrenaline I've ever had. Like it's crazy. So yeah, like it can be really important to like train yourself to control your nerves and stuff. I feel the fight or flight instinct is like massive in judo, and if you can't control it, if you can't fight, then you can't be a good judo player.
I can just picture that, like just a massive arena. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think with judo, like it's obviously a sport where there's a lot of feats of power and athleticism, but I feel like there's a certain element of like control and precision as well.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
You're using power, but like you're using control at the same time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like, if your nerves are going off, like you won't be able to get that control.
The timing as well of judo. That like you have to do everything at the exact right time. Like you have to hit the exact opportunity that you're given, and like honestly, I don't know how some people do the things that they do on judo mats. Like I'm a powerful person. I can do all these like big strong things, but like some of the things I see people do with like their quick feet or like just a timing thing, or like it's just it's incredible. Judo players are just incredible. I'll be honest. Like as athletes, the greatest athletes on the planet. I'll always say that.
Who's your favorite judo player of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
It's a judo player called Joshiro Maruyama from Japan. He fought in the under 66 category, and he had a huge rivalry with one of the other Japanese competitors who is one of the best of all time, Fumi Abe. And Maruyama lost to him twice and beat him twice at international competitions, and because Maruyama lost to him the second and the third and fourth time that they fought, he didn't get to go to the Olympics. So he's a 2-time world champion who never even competed at the Olympics because he couldn't qualify, because you can only take one person per country. Which is the interesting thing about judo. In athletics, you'll see 4 Jamaicans and 4 Americans in the final of like the 100-meter race, and like in loads of other sports, like the best people in the world get to go, but in judo, only one person from each country can go in each weight group. So if you're in a country who's got a lot of really good judo players, it's so hard. So hard. So being like Japanese or French or Russian, it's just really hard.
Damn, why is that though? Like, why can't they just take like the top 3 or something?
It's a diversity thing. They want to get as many countries in the Olympics as possible. So that's the rule. Everyone knows the rule. So you just got to be the best in your country. That's what I'm doing. So
imagine you and Peter though in the Olympics together.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like some LeBron James and Bronny shit. That would be so cool.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to make it clear, I don't have a son. It's not my son.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Or like
I have not had a child. I have not had a child before. Let me just make that very clear.
You would be like, what?
Yeah, we've said Peter a few times. Peter's my younger brother.
Yeah.
And he also does judo. He's also very, very good at judo.
Yeah. Bro, have you even seen the LeBron James songs?
Yeah, bro. And they're making a new one every day.
It's crazy, bro.
I'm talking about the man.
And actually cold as well.
Yeah, they're so good.
I just saved all of them.
You are my sunshine.
Bro, obviously you've been competing for a long time. What's one of the moments in your competition history that stands out the most for you? I mean, I know you mentioned one with walking up to that mat, but is there something else that brings a lot of emotion to you that stands out?
Yeah, my I think maybe my favourite judo moment was winning my first senior British title. So when I was 17, I was a cadet. I was 17 years old, and I won the British Championships at seniors and juniors. in the same. That was when I was in college, I think.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I won the juniors on the Saturday, which is the under-21s, and I was like the favourite going into the competition. Like I definitely should have won it, and I did.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then on the Sunday with the seniors, with like the best players in the country, like and of all ages. Like I'm fighting 30-year-olds, I'm fighting 27-year-olds, I'm fighting 30-year-olds, and I was 17, and I just.
And you beat them.
Went through the rounds and got to the final and won it. And I remember looking at my mum when I'd won it, who was in the chair. She's my coach, and she was sitting in the coach's chair, and I just couldn't believe it. Like I was just lost for words. Like I had nothing to say, and I just ran off and gave her the biggest hug. And yeah, that's definitely like that's one of my favourite moments.